Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our board meeting in this wonderful, finally warm day, no rain. And could we have a roll call, please, Mr. Weber?
Mr. Demakia, Mr. Fallis,
Present.
Mr. Smith, Mr. Sturgill,
Here.
Mr. Williams.
Here. And at this time, Dr. Hall.
Treasurer, Mr. Weber, Superintendent, Mr. Tucker, Board President, Mr. Williams, and distinguished board members. Tonight we have 7 students from Longfellow Middle School who will lead the Pledge of Allegiance. Andre Claudia, a 7th grade student who enjoys violin, football, and youth group. Naya Espedia, who enjoys Lorain soccer, Longfellow volleyball, Girl Scouts, and youth group. We also have Terrence Chiatap. He's a student who enjoys news crew at Longfellow. He will assist us in the speech, but will not assist the pledge at this time. Paul Greer is an 8th grade student who's Young Scholars Program. Extracurricular activity. Gabriel Rufo, whose extracurricular activity is Girl Scouts. Gabrielle Urufo's extracurricular activity is Girl Scouts, youth group, softball, and volleyball. Selena Vasquez, who enjoys CYO sports, also serving in church and dance group. And Jose Fazaldin, who enjoys being accepted at early college so far this year. After the pledge, students will highlight Longfellow Middle School with a video that they produce. Ms. Christine Miller, Ms. Flores, and Deb Hansen is here tonight to support her students. Everyone, please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated.
Well, you guys can start. I'm not doing this all on my own. Good evening. Thank you, parents, for coming out this evening. Thank you, Board of Education, Mr. Tucker, Mr. Weber. We are here tonight to represent Longfellow Middle School. Tonight we will be highlighting a few examples of what our live 15-minute news show does every day for our students, parents, and community. We are here. This crew is just a little snippet of what we have. Many of them left this morning on the Washington, D.C., New York City field trip.
My name is Paul. I'm a part of the Longfellow News crew. My job is the video switcher. It's a very fundamental and intricate part of our show. I also make weekly PowerPoints to be broadcast on the show as well. I'm an expert at what I do, and I'm trying to teach 7th graders to be an expert as well when they become 8th graders next year.
My name is Jose Vasaldin. I can do many different jobs on the thing, but as of right now, I am doing audio and video switcher. I am also teaching a kid how to do teleprompter as of right now.
I'm TJ and I do anchoring for the news show. Like, I'm teaching the 7th graders to speak out and comment on the segments after you show the segment. Like, be outgoing about it and comment on it, and don't be shy and don't hold back.
I'm Andre. I'm an anchor sometimes. I do video editing and I work the camera sometimes.
My name is Naya, and I'm a 7th grader learning how to do the news for next year. And I've learned how to be director and work live button, and I've made many PowerPoints for the show. I'm Gabby. Well, I like to do PowerPoints for the show. I do switcher, camera, and lights. That's about it, I guess.
I'm Selena, and I'm learning how to anchor for next year, to direct, and I've started to film and edit the dodgeball game, teachers versus the students. We would like to start our presentation out by showing you a few videos we created for our show. Longfellow has been working hard on making a difference with stopping bullying in our school.
Video making and
internet
safety.
When you get
Let's take a look at their creativity and talents.
You can go on Facebook, people sitting talking, via text on Snapchat, the first day Betty Hawking. People are conniving and they can be fake. Make when you press like they can Snapchat your mistake. People say hate and trying to mark your place. They always keep ripping them, but don't say it to your face. YouTube videos posted, they can be embarrassing, but being bullied forward is nothing in comparison. When you get on Twitter, there are lots of news. You be getting inbox for random motor dudes. People leaving comments saying that he's mine. This ain't a dating website, it is only Vine. If your Instagram is private, they can like a pic. Leaving creepy comments saying that you fit. When you get a friend request, this is what to do. Accept or decline. The options up to you. But you can't block them if they is harassing. They continue when they're pushing, make your life come crashing. Bullying, bullies, they're hard to explain. They only bring you down, so it ease their pain. They're the ones jealous, they're the ones ashamed. They build up their confidence by having you to blame. But hurting other people, it is just not right. They need to learn we're all the same, that we can all unite. Let girls be getting jealous, they be really mean. They only push your business, sell and make a scene. Don't do anything, just to see you hurt. They don't think twice about it, all they do is flirt. Bullying hurts our entire nation. Live in the future, not in our generation. People need to think before they say. Just because it ain't you hurting, don't make it okay. This is the day, we need to make a stand. Keep yourself protected, cyberbullying should be banned.
I just have to say that this student wrote this. She edited it. She directed it. I mean, she was the whole package, actually, right there. And I have to say, she was going to present in March, and ours got moved till today. And she's in Washington D.C. That's why she's not here. She was actually going to do it live for you. So, but the video is just as good. So, I think we're gonna. Are you gonna show one more?
Which one?
Do we have
Yes.
time to show one more?
Yes. Do we have time to? Or
A couple. Okay.
how
Go
many
ahead.
Do you want to see? Can we?
Go to the outdoor gems. Fine.
Which one?
The outdoor gems.
Okay.
This is our outdoor classroom.
Okay, we have
If
somebody
you-
that's talking.
Oh, okay.
We also create many videos for the show to show the new things that happen in the building and with the students. And this next PowerPoint is a new addition that we added to our building last week.
Can they do their stories at least? Can we follow their script at least so that they can speak? Go ahead, Paul.
We can do one more.
We'll do the happy one, but go ahead.
To help raise additional funds for our outdoor educational classroom, we had a dodgeball game on Friday. Here's the commercial that the news crew created to help motivate the students and get them to participate and to attend.
We also created.
Just start it, and then you can stop it, so they can see what we did. Okay, we'll stop that one. Now go on, go ahead.
We also create highlights of school events as with our OA celebration. The Friday before the testing started, the whole school was involved thanks to another grant that was received from the Lorain Endowment Fund. I think you will see our students work, and now they are playing hard because they know they are ready for the testing to
That's
begin.
the one up above that says the Great OA Celebration. Just do a snippet of it, and then the big one we want to show you is the one at the end. And who made this? You did. He's so proud. He's a seventh grader just starting, so he's so happy about his accomplishments.
I used to bite my tongue and hold my breath. Scared to rock the boat and make a mess. So I said quietly, I guess that I forgot I had a choice. I let you push me past the breaking point. I said it's not my thing, so I fell for everything. Cut me down, but I got up. Already brushing off the dust. Hear my voice and hear that sound. Cut me down, but I got up. Get ready 'cause I'm enough. I see it now. I got the eye of the tiger.
All right, who's next?
Once the OAA testing was finished, our school came together once again to create our personal music video. Take a look at what a school can do working together to highlight how great they are.
And we'll end with this.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here, you can take a break. Hot air balloon, make her go to space.
This was a total school involvement. All of the students had input in making this.
Because I'm happy I'm alone. If you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy I'm alone.
Each team was given a specific piece of music that they had to choreograph to. Now we got another team.
I should probably warn you, I'll be just fine. No offense to you, don't waste your time. Here's why. Because I'm happy I'm alone. If you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy I'm alone. If you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy I'm alone. If you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy I'm alone. If you feel like that's what you
I just want you to know that our whole student body clapped when they saw that in our piece. It was so touching. They got field trip permission slips and everything.
Is the music playing while they're doing that?
We had it separate, but she's cued it.
Okay.
My editor cued it, so they're clapping and everything. Wait till you see the ending. Unbelievable.
Posted the Longfellow is happy music video on the YouTube channel on Friday. It is a hit within the community with 230 hits in 3 days. If you are interested in following the latest and past shows, you can find them on our Longfellow Middle School website. As you can see, our Longfellow Daily News means a great deal to our school, students, community, and the news crew members.
Actually, we could take up all of your evening. We have a lot of things that we'd like to present and continue presenting. These are just little snippets, and you're welcome over any time. Please come out and see the outdoor education classroom. It is absolutely wonderful. If it stops raining, we'll be able to use it more. But other than that, thank you for having us. Again, go on the website. You can view all of these videos at any time. So thank you very much. Students, I have certificates for you, but we won't take up any more of your time. I'll give them to them. Thank you.
We also have our parents of the students. Please stand as well. If you're here for any of the students here for Longfellow, thank you. Done an excellent job. Wonderful kids. Thank you.
I'm very proud of them. They've done an outstanding job, and every year they keep getting better. So thank you very much.
So we want to make sure they get their acknowledgement for their certificates here, and then we can take a picture with them also. No rush. It's important.
Paul. Gabriella. Selena. Jose. Zalden. Maya. Andre. All right, the board's going to stand up with you, okay? And Ms. Hanson. I have to
You
get
guys
up.
just stay in the back. If you guys can squeeze in together, get nice and close and tight there.
Remember, you're taller than I am.
I'm too old to climb on chairs.
Okay, a few weeks ago, or maybe longer, I got a email from some people who have put together what they call the Southview Legacy of 1981, and they're working on a foundation with doing some things, and they asked if they could do a presentation. So we have them here for the board meeting. Mr. Hawks, would you like to introduce them?
That was a tough act. It's going to be really tough for you to follow. Lucas Davala would, there you go.
No music and no dancing. I can't follow that up at all, actually, so thanks for stealing my thunder. That actually was a very good lead-in for what it is. My name is Lucas Del Valle. This is Bonnie Hall, and we represent the Southview class of 81, and we created, and there's a group of us here, which I'm extremely excited that they all came. Nilda, if you would stand, please, just real quick. Nilda Melendez. Who used to be Rosasson High School. Mike Hazard, who is still Mike Hazard. Steve Strong, Phil Guzman, one of your own, Sandy Wolf, and Jenny Hernandez, or Jenny Sanchez. Thanks. But so real quick, because I know time is limited what we have. This is a list of the group, but Southview Legacy was created. I can't even tell you how. We graduated from 1981 as a very close-knit unit and have stayed in touch. We've had all the silly stuff that people do, the 5 and 10 year reunions. We've had one that's been well represented. When we all reached, last year, 50 years old, we kind of realized a couple things. I will say this: one of the spurs that really pushed us was we had probably, I don't know how, there's no statistics to bear it out, but quite a few of our classmates died tragically and/or naturally. And in doing so, as we all got together, as we called each other, and we got together for the reunions and everything, we're kind of saddened by the fact that Southview is no longer around. How is the name going to even be remembered other than the unit or the building that's on the site now? The building's coming down eventually. Something that we're all very proud of. I think one of the statistics that we can say is the amount of graduates from the class of '81, from I think 263 kids who graduated. Many went on to college, post-high school education. We're all very proud of that fact, but we are more proud that we all stayed together as a unit. It drives my wife crazy. She's not from Lorain. She doesn't understand it. My kids go to school. I ask them who their parents are to find out if I know them. So we all know that. So if you can go on to the next slide, just real quick. I'm going to give you the who, what, where, when, why, and how real quick. We created the Southview Legacy 1981 to create and maintain and really keep that spirit of Southview High School alive. And one of the reasons why we're extremely thankful, first of all, for this opportunity is to kind of give you an idea where we are and what we hope we can get your support and endorsement from. So it's multi-purpose. So it's to create and maintain the spirit of Southview High. But it's also, next please, to support the programs and services that align with the legacy's evolving goals. And I'll get into the how in a second. Because that's going to be key and why that group in front of us, I could not have paid them enough, because it's indicative of what we hope to support and what we really want to endorse. Next, please. The number one purpose is to encourage the purpose of the Southview Legacy 81 is to encourage higher education. We all know, statistics all bear out, those who go on to school, those who move on, all achieve not only higher incomes, but also then hopefully can give back to their communities. It's a circle of life, right? And we hope to really look back and give back to the community that created us and gave us that opportunity to do the same. Next, please. And also, because of what we're doing, and I'll get into the how in a second, it also maintains and provides a community investment opportunity for some local businesses. Next, please. And then also, finally, to establish an ongoing effort that represents the Southview High School class of '81, a legacy, if you will. We're all proud of the fact that we graduated together. We're all proud of the fact that we call each other friends. We're all proud of the fact that we can get together and try to create a seed that will help keep that name Southview alive in the future, in the near and long-term future. Next, please. This isn't a one-off. In other words, this isn't just something that we're doing. We're not a nonprofit organization. We're just a bunch of 50-year-olds who got together and enjoy each other's company. We decided to make it official. So we partnered with the Community Foundation of Lorain County. I'm sure you know Brian Frederick, who welcomed us with open arms. Bonnie and I met him, I think, last year first. Troy Howell is the third partner, who one of us, who we met with Brian, who really gave us the structure and the meat of what it is we're going to do. Next, please. So the Community Foundation provides us with they are going to be the fund administrator and asset manager. Again, because we're not a nonprofit organization, we wanted to stay away from any tax liabilities, any issues, anybody holding in money that we shouldn't have. We didn't want to just be put in a position of having to penny for penny try to take care of it ourselves, as opposed to the wonderful, and you guys all know, I remember back in 1981, I got a $200 scholarship that helped me buy probably 2 books back then, but from the Community Foundation. Wonderful organization that's still very viable. In fact, Brian just quickly listed off many statistics that show that this group is very good at what they do. So why recreate the wheel? We decided to partner with them and help them put what we hope will be an ongoing effort. Next slide, please. So what are we doing? Our goal is to initially raise $10,000. That will then help and kick in certain triggers through the Community Foundation that will help us find the type of programs through the Community Foundation that will give back to you, the schools of Lorain City. Whether it's a program like this in junior high, which is why I'm saying this program was great to see in front, to see what's being done, or whether it's in high school to encourage kids and to motivate them and to give them something to hold on to let them know that what they're doing is meaningful and what they are can be even more meaningful as they age and move on, whether it's going to college or whether it's pursuing whatever goal they want. So our first goal is $10,000. How we're doing this is a good, we'll figure it out. Next slide, please. We're having the first golf outing. It's because everybody loves golf, whether you do it well or not. I don't. I lose 4 balls. I consider that to be pretty good. So our first one is going to be at the Fox Creek Golf Club on July 19th this year. We won't raise $10,000 in one shot, I don't think. It's $75 a person who golfs, $300 a team. Pricey, but none of the fact that it's going towards a good cause and going towards something that we will hopefully maintain and see grow over the years. Steve Strong was very instrumental in helping us work with the Fox Creek Golf Club, but I can list any one of the guys who are sitting here and those who were listed on that first slide and aren't with us here physically today have all worked very diligently and very hard. And what we're looking for really is, number one is, first of all, to start the promotion. Number two is to get whatever support in whatever way we can get from the administrators and from the city. We are, again, I can't stop saying that enough. We are just graduates of the Lorain City School System. We're proud of that. We're proud of the Southview, our Southview legacy, and we hope that this will just be the start and what we will continue to be a long-term opportunity to keep the Southview legacy name and the Southview name forefront, at least somewhere, so that when the history books go back and start looking at stuff, saying, how did South Lorain get its name South Lorain? That's an ongoing question. But at least Southview will still be there. And I cannot stress that enough. So thank you. Thank you. We truly appreciate the opportunity to come here and at least start this off and let you guys know. We have our names and numbers are plastered everywhere. We'll be glad to answer any questions. Not now, but you can call me if you need to. Bonnie, Steve, or anybody else listed on that sheet.
And I have a few extra if you know
Sure.
their phone numbers and contact. Okay.
That being said, thank you. I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Lucas and Bonnie. It's nice to see that, you're moving, giving back to the community and to the schools. It's very much appreciated. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to have Officer Sergeant Soto come to the podium. And tonight, we are going to do the right thing.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Lorain Police Department, I'd like to welcome everybody to tonight's Do the Right Thing presentation. We are here today gathered to honor Miss Caitlin Seawards for her involvement in an incident that occurred here in the city of Lorain. Caitlin was nominated by her teacher, Miss Tammy Nichols, and Caitlin is a third grader at Stephen DeHanos Elementary School. At Stephen DeHanos, we are proud to announce that Caitlin Seward is not only a student who demonstrates the qualities of Do the Right Thing recipient, but also a hero. Caitlin was featured on Channel 8 News on Tuesday, April 22nd, 2014. Caitlin came to the rescue when a 6-year-old girl was being attacked by 2 dogs in a Lorain yard. She saw the attack and grabbed a broom off the porch to swat the dogs away. The little girl, Caitlin helped receive 17 stitches, but avoided further injury because of Caitlin's bravery and actions. The young girl's father referred to Caitlin as a hero and thanked her for saving her little girl's life. Caitlin's heroic actions were recognized at Stephen DeHanos by the principal, teachers, and students. Caitlin is a third grader in Miss Geyer's class at Stephen DeHanos Elementary School. She is recognized as a good student and is well liked by the staff and her peers. She demonstrates exemplary behavior and attitude. Caitlin does the right thing. This time I'd like to congratulate Caitlin on behalf of the Lorain Police Department. We congratulate you on doing the right thing.
Okay. Tonight, we also like to highlight another one of our schools, our Credit Recovery Academy. And we'd like to call front Mr. Newsom and also Mrs. Davis, who did a great job. Mr. Newsom will be presenting on behalf of Credit Recovery Academy. Mr. Newsom.
Good evening, Mr. Weber, Mr. Tucker, Mr. Williams, members of the board. My name is Sam Newsom, Assistant Principal for Credit Recovery Academy, and today we are very excited and honored to speak to you about the wonderful things that are taking place at our building. Our motto for our students at Credit Recovery is, don't waste time, refocus your mind. The administrative team and faculty members make it a point to remind our students that their time at Credit Recovery Academy is a second opportunity at success, not only inside of the classroom, but outside of the classroom. I am honored to introduce to you Ms. Breaza Tucker, an 11th grade student at our building who will highlight some of the exciting things that are happening at Credit Recovery Academy. As she comes to the podium, we would like to recognize her grandmother, if she would stand, please, for the wonderful job she's done with Breaza.
Good evening. Once upon a time, actually, August 26, 2013, I was a 9th grader in need of a serious attitude adjustment and some credits. However, my life today, I am standing before you with 14 credits, a big smile, and a positive attitude. But this drastic change will never be possible without my mother, my grandmother, Mrs. Robinson, Mr. Newsom, and Ms. Davis. Great things are happening at CRA. At CRA, we are preparing for graduation. There were 30 graduates last year, and we are proud to say that we have 40 graduates scheduled to this year. Great job, CRA. At CRA, Mrs. Seifert speech class is blending a variety of speaking techniques and technology using music and pictures for a visible look at our life lessons, as this presentation is an example. At CRA, walking the dog is being taught new tricks in Mrs. Rasitano's science class. We are connecting operant conditioning in real life situations like teaching Rocky up. Also at CRA, Mrs. Draga has examined and extracted core lessons needed for students who have taken and have not yet passed Algebra 1 to move on to Algebra 2 in the concept we called Algebra to the Core. At CRA on May 8th, 2014, we held our annual Operation Green Clean Day. We cleaned around Lorain High, the Credit Recovery Annex buildings, and the surrounding businesses. We got positive feedback from other surrounding businesses. At CRA, we have 15 seniors taking a 3-hour college-like Algebra 2 seminar taught by Ms. Holmes in a critical for their graduation. At CRA, we support Breast Cancer Walk. Put on your pink and come join us. Also, on June 6th from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m., we are planning a community festival. Come support us. At CRA, Mr. Hood is not only a physical fitness teacher, he is also a life counselor. Mr. Hood feels that most important thing he can do is give his students the motivations to stay fit for the rest of their lives. You have a choice every day of your attitude you will embrace for the day. Quote from Mr. Sean Hood. At CRA, the BEATS program has had a positive change in the atmosphere. BEATS is a program set up to teach students the importance of achievement and education. The BEATS program has helped me in drastic ways both in and out of school. I now think before I speak, and I now pay attention to how I want to build my future than how it has brought me down in my past. And now I will introduce Mrs. Robinson.
Thank you, Breaza. I really appreciate that. Thank you. You did a wonderful job. As she has announced, my name is Deanna Robinson, Mrs. Robinson. I am a licensed social worker who is providing the services that are offered by the BEATS program. The BEATS, which is an acronym for Bringing Educational Alternatives to the School. Our goal is to actually do that, bring the alternative rather than you suspending the youth or expulsion or in-school suspension. This particular program was produced and written by Shelley Mathis, a licensed professional counselor who also is a native of Lorain County. She was not able to be here today, so I just want you to know that she said thank you for giving us the opportunity to bring a summary of the BEATS program along with the accomplishments at CRA. BEATS is an educational alternative to suspension, just as I mentioned. BEATS also provides an opportunity for the students to remain in school and reduce the time out of the classroom. We integrate with the BEATS program the Ohio Common Core that you also provide here for the schools here. We also provide outcome measures and evaluation for the kids' performances. Sorry, this is slippery. Those outcomes we use are equipped and calculated by using the students, the parents, and the teachers' information. We also have a setting that is very on a personal basis. It's a closed group setting where we have the youth come in, and they're in the group sessions for 3 times out of the week. Each session is consecutive. They run one behind the other. So we try to make sure that the students that we have at the beginning of the first session also finishes out to the second and the third session. BEATS gets to the why of the matter, which gives the students the opportunity to express and explore the situation beyond the classroom. It will allow the students to transition back into the classroom with a different mindset that is more prepared to continue their education without distraction. We have also noted that removing the student due to behavior issues is understandable. However, continuing to removing the student only encourages the falsity that education is not priority. BEATS has been so successful that we have also acknowledged the days that has been reduced for suspension at CRA. And we are very proud to say that this program has assisted in reducing the numbers of times the student is out of the classroom. It's increased achievement of reaching education goals, increased positive reinforcements, more optimistic outcomes, providing additional positive reinforcements to support the teachers as well. In addition, BEATS has gone a little bit beyond the scope that it originally came into the schools for. We do reach out to the students to attempt to assist those that had experienced some sort of, I would say, suicide attempts. We've kind of helped that a little bit to reduce those rates. We provide on-site counseling. We assist the students according to their hierarchy of need. Some of the kids come in, they don't have food or clothing. We assist with that, with the teachers as well, in accomplishing that goal. Also assisting some of the teen moms that are there, increasing in self-esteem, identity crisis with some of the students, assist with increasing positive communication skills, and increasing healthy relationships. There are many students, just like Berasia Tucker, that has come through our program. And we feel that this program has been very beneficial to CRA. And we are hoping that you would welcome us to come back next school term, and we're looking forward to doing that. Thank you.
One of the things being at an alternative school is, nowadays when you give a kid a suspension, they get a big smile on their face. I get to be at home 3 days, watch my TV or be on a computer. So with the BEATS program being in place, we really use that alternative consequence, and it has been very effective for us. As Ms. Robinson cited, our out-of-school suspension data has decreased significantly. So we definitely thank her, thank Dr. Hall and Central Office for referring Mrs. Robinson to us as an alternative to our out-of-school suspensions. A couple of things as we wrap up. I would like to introduce Ms. Carvita Winham, who was acting as our Vanna White running the PowerPoint. Thank you for coming out. June 6th, she brought that up. We have our Community Festival, Reach Out, Community Resource Program. at the beginning of the year, we all do a back to school program. We do it through the city, Lorain City Schools. This is something new that we wanted to be a tradition, the end of the year program. We're going to invite some community vendors out. Our theme is Think Before You Act, and we want to give the message to our students there's things to do. June, July, and August. Those are 3 long months, and there's going to be some opportunities out there through our vendors. We're going to have a motivational speaker. I'm actually going to be contacting Mr. Williams for the music and the entertainment this week, so we are definitely excited about that. And we, again, wanted to thank the board for having us out. I definitely would like the building principal to stand to be recognized, Mrs. Davis, a young lady who brings a lot of energy, positivity, and outcome to the program. Again, thank you guys for having us out.
Ms. Tucker or Ms. Vanna, would you like to?
Okay, it wouldn't be Miss Davis if I didn't say anything. I really tried not to say anything.
Time.
Okay. But as you guys take that beautiful picture, I'm not photogenic, so I don't get in there. But I just want to say thank you to Carvita and Briasia for taking this leap and this chance to speak. I speak every week at a community meeting. Also, thank you to Mr. Newsom. I'm usually the one who does all the talking, as you know, so I want to take in that risk because remember what we talked about at our celebration Friday? It's your attitude, not your aptitude, that determines your altitude. And I know because of your altitude, you guys are going to soar, and I look forward to being there watching you.
Thank you once again. I'd like to thank Longfellow and also CRA for presenting today, and turn it back over to Mr. Williams.
Thank you. And thank you to all of those folks who presented. We won't go back and try and single them out because we'll miss some. But at this time, we would entertain our first hearing of the public. If there are any individuals who would like to address the board, please feel free to come forward at this time. Looks like there's no takers. Mr. Whitfield, would you like to? This time, I need a motion for approval of the minutes from the regular board meeting held on April 21st, 2014.
Motion to approve.
No, we have to read the whole resolution, please.
Approve or amend and sign minutes from regular meeting on Monday, April 21st, 2014. Correct resolution number to read resolutions number 14R81. Approve or amend and sign minutes of regular meeting on Monday, May 5th, 2014, attachment A.
Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Support motion.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes. That one got a little bit more complicated than normal, sorry. This time, gentlemen, is there any old business for discussion?
No old business.
Thank you. At this time, we'll move on to the report and recommendations of the treasurer, Mr. Weber.
We have to do the annual, semi-annual 5-year forecast presentation and discussion and approval by the Board of Education. It happens every May and October. And this is an update, called an update because it's still through fiscal year 2018.
Mr. Weber, please use the mic.
Okay. So it's these twice a year submission. This is the May submission. I got it. Okay. Some important notes. This is a general fund analysis, and because we have general funds, we have grants and whatnot. This is the general fund because this is also what our tax levies affect when we do those kinds of things. So the federal grants, other funds are excluded from this analysis. The school district fiscal years run from July 1st to June 30th, not January 1st to December 31st. I know sometimes it gets really confusing, and I want to make sure you understand it's July to June is our fiscal year. Key factors affecting this forecast. Number one is the student funding costs. Students are enrolling in the community schools, open enrollment, and voucher programs, and the funding follows the student for children living in Lorain City School District. That's a key number one there. The cost for fiscal year 2014 for those components, the community schools, open enrollment, and voucher programs, is now $25.4 million. It's 27% of our operating budget. That cost has grown from $10.9 million to $25.4 million over the last 7 years. Pretty big chunk of increase there. And this forecast assumes the cost growth is $3.5 million per year through fiscal 2018. I want to emphasize the word assumes that's going to grow that much, because there's no guarantee it's going to grow that much. But being the conservative person I am for the financial forecast, I'm going to assume it's going to grow $3.5 million. If it grows less than that, we are much better shape. Another key factor, number 2, we have a lot of delinquent real estate taxes in the district. People owe us money of over $5 million as of late March. That's grown the last couple of years. It's a pretty big number as you can see there. Item 3 affecting us is called the state funding cap. The state funding formula is capping Lorain City Schools. Without the cap for this year, fiscal year 2013-14, we will receive another $8.8 million from what we're receiving today. We are receiving $67.4 million, and we would have received $76.2 million, so we're capped because of that funding formula in the state of Ohio.
Dale?
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but can you explain what that cap is before we go further?
Actually, I can put this real simple. When the state legislature, when John Kasich went into his first budget, he came up with a formula on how to fund schools. His formula included a host of items, such as property wealth in a district, number of students in poverty, number of special needs students, average income within there. There was a number of items. We were in the top 10 of every single item that he had, or pretty close every single item, which means we were to receive the top amount of money. They ran that formula, and for this year, based on that formula, we should have received $11.5 million, somewhere around there, a little over $11 million.
For this year.
For this year. But they said, oh, we can't afford that, so we're capping those districts that get a lot of money. So we received 3.4?
3.8 something.
Okay, 3.8. Now, the downside of that is when we get new students in the district, we don't get any more money. But if a student comes into our district and does not enroll here but enrolls at another school, we lose that money. So we lose whether they come in and enroll or if they leave. So we're capped based upon that formula. And we're capped next year also.
Right, that is correct.
Thank you.
Okay. As Tom just talked about, for new students enrollments, Lorain City Schools receives no additional funding. So if 100 students coming from Florida, we will receive no new money for those students coming in from Florida, but we have to educate them. Okay? Okay. State funding for next year. What we are going to, I think, receive, at least according to the budget plan from the state of Ohio, another $7.4 million increase next fiscal year on top of what we're getting this year. The state budgeting formula, we're in what's called this biennial budget process, and we're in year 1 right now. Next year is year 2. So for the following 2 years, we won't know those budgets until next spring, early summer type of thing. So this forecast assumes after next year, it's flat funding. Okay, it is at the level of 2015. I don't show any increases of state funding after next year. I'm just being conservative because I don't know what's going to be yet. Okay, here's a concept called average daily membership. And it has to do with how we get funded. The definition is right off the State of Ohio OD website. Total average daily membership is the total number of public students residing in your school district boundaries or non-resident students who are eligible to attend the district. So it's the whole set of kids in our school district that can attend our schools, but some of them don't. We'll get to that in a few seconds here. So those children in our school district, they attend Lorain City schools, they attend community schools, they attend private schools, e-schools, and homeschooling. Okay, this is our ADM, average daily membership, since fiscal year 2007. You can see it's coming down, so the set of children that can come to our school system is declining. It could be a live birth issue, it could be kids and parents moving out of the state, it could be a lot of different things like that. So it's coming down. But this ADM is the basis for our funding. So that's the basis is coming down, our funding is coming down. Operating revenues. This excludes the borrowing we did a couple years ago. Our funding has basically been flat. We've had some stimulus funding in 2010 and 11, which helped out when the state was losing some money there or reducing some of our funding. You can see there, it's gone from 88.2 million to 92.5 in the last 7 years. That's a 1% growth. That's called compound annual growth rate, CAGR. So we take it, 88.2 million increase at 1% a year, you get 92.5. So it's a pretty flat number. Now this is called average daily enrollment right off of report card data off the website. This is closer to an enrollment number, okay? So we can see back in 07 we had 8,897 kids in enrollment. We're down to 6,745 as of fiscal year 13, 24% reduction in that time frame. Wages and salaries have gone from $51.5 million in fiscal year 07. I'm trying to do a comparison point the same year, fiscal year 13, it's down 21%. So you had two pretty big rifts in the last 7 years over here. Go back one more time. Yeah, there you go. Go back now, sorry. Yeah. Two rifts over there, and this, I put in, this is called a regression line, it's a trend line. The trend line's coming down. So it's a 21% reduction in wages and salaries, and the average is about 3.25% a year reduction. So if I take 51.5 and reduce it down 3.25% for those years, I get down to the 40.8. Okay. Back to the student funding costs, the community schools, open enrollment, and the voucher programs. From FY07, fiscal year 07, $10.9 million. The ODE has us at $25.4 million. That's a cost to us for this year. There you go. Okay, so that 1 year period from fiscal year 13 to 14, that increase was over $4 million. This is the equivalent of losing 7 mills of real estate tax revenue in 1 year. That's the equivalent, so a $4 million increase is the equivalent of losing 7 mills in 1 year. I budgeted to lose 1.8 million. This is the crux of my one of my issues over here. I budgeted to lose 1.8 million on this cost structure, and I'm baking in this year a $4 million increase.
And 1.8 was the highest it had ever been, and
Right.
we decided to
Right.
budget the highest it could be.
Right. Okay. We also don't know this because of the way the state tells us what our funding is. We don't know until January what those numbers really are. So halfway through the year, we finally know our funding. So I don't know how we can correct that problem so easily that way.
And it gives just a glimpse in January and really doesn't become clear until March.
Yeah. Okay. I just put an overlay here of the operating revenue in the blue, pretty flat funding, and the red is that the cost of the community schools, open enrollment, and the vouchers. You can see how it's eating into our revenue as the years progress there. Okay, here's the bottom line to everything. It's called line 15010 in the forecast. The forecast looks like this. We're going to turn this thing into the state. All these numbers on it, but you can see we're still going to be above water this year, $28,000, and next year we have some work to do because of some of these assumptions I'm going to show you here in a second. First assumption is that I'm a conservative treasurer. I'm going to say we're going to lose financially 500 students a year at $3.5 million cost increase. That's my conservatism going out there through fiscal year 18. I'm going to assume no increase in state funding for fiscal year 16, 17, and 18 because I don't know what's going to be yet. I'm going to assume no reductions in staff other than attrition. So if 500 kids are leaving, we reduce our staff, that staff reduction is not baked into there. I'm going to assume no new revenues from new levies. Now, the levy we're going to have coming up here in 2016, I'm going to assume it's renewed. That's in there. But the new money levies, there's no new money in here anywhere. And finally, there's one more. I assume the healthcare costs will increase 5% a year. That's about $400,000 or $500,000 a year to general fund the healthcare cost. So what can we do? We have to increase revenues, and we have to increase enrollment in Lorain City schools. That would certainly help out this funding issue for us. Increased the tax collections from delinquencies we have. I said we had $5 million uncollected as of late March. We had to reduce our expenses through attrition or personnel to right-size the school district. Tom and I have talked about that for the last few weeks here. And other reductions in costs we're going to work through there. So once again, I have to turn this thing in by the end of the month. And it's more all the detail around every single number. This is I'll call it the Cliff's Notes version of this. And it's definitely, we have some work to do on this.
There's a number of important factors you need to realize too, because when you look at that, you think, oh my goodness, you lost 500 children. That's not true. We figured we'd lose about 300. When you look at last year's report card, we had 6,745. This year, our report, which hasn't come out yet, is about 6,466, which means we've only lost about 270 students out the door from our district. But for some reason, we're getting charged for 530 students. And you need to realize the state only pays us, it's $5,700 per student. It comes down to a little less than $5,000 we get per student. Every student out the door is 8,000 lost. It's the way the formula is set up from the state of Ohio, so we lose. In fact, today, when we ran the numbers, right now our enrollment is up 126 students. We're at 6,592. So there is an inherent problem in the state funding system. One of the areas that is a problem is it's all based upon that October count, that mystical October count where everybody does crazy things and get kids in October. That is changing next year. Next year they're going to do it 3 times a year to even it out. That will help us because there's a lot of play that goes on with a lot of people, especially when this district is capped with the amount of money. As some students come back, we do get some adjustments on those, but they don't come until next year. So they're in arrears. So we're dealing with a funding formula that's tough. And while that number sounds big, remember it's only 3%. It's only 3% of the whole general fund budget. Then you've got another 20 or 25 million of categorical grant funding on top of that. So there's a lot more to this than just, oops, we lost 500 kids. Now what Dale's assumption is that he's conservative, and that's a good thing. Is losing 500 kids for 4 more years. That's 2,000 students. You haven't lost 2,000. I mean, it took 8-9 years to get there, and there is a saturation point. At that point, one of the issues that we have noticed where students have lost is at the high school level, and we believe that, and we talk to those parents what their issue is, and a lot of that is the location that we're in at this time. When that new high school opens in 2 years, I think you'll see a reversal of that trend. So there's a lot of things at play here. Also, we don't have a middle school out in the south side of town currently. That will change once we get the new schools open.
You factored in no increase in state revenue.
After fiscal year 15.
Right.
Yeah.
But and that's fair because that probably you can't factor something that you don't know what it is.
Right.
But have we ever not gotten increase?
I did some analysis over the weekend. Okay. We have, I'll say the average is about 2.5% we've gotten, that we've gotten in there. What you're talking about, that would be about $1.5 million to $2 million of revenue is what they would give us if they had a 2.5% increase. Yeah.
And then in the latter years, we've gotten significantly more increase.
The last 2 years, we've gotten about $3.8 million this year, and we're scheduled to get, supposed to get 7.2 next year. Yeah, supposed to get. But they're also going through, and Tom, they'll do this called the MBR, was that the mid-year budget review?
Mid-budget review.
Mid-budget review, and I don't know what's going to come out of that. They're in the process of that now. Now, sometimes they make adjustments and sometimes they don't.
And that, what Dale was also talking about were 2 of the worst years, or 2 of the worst years ever in state funding, of which we all lost money.
Any questions, Jim?
Well, yeah, I have a question. Obviously, those numbers in red are big. They're big. And you could talk about 2.5% potential increases in revenue from the state over the next 4 or 5 years, but that doesn't cover the downfall. So I guess what's our strategy to cover that?
We have a number.
Or is that on the drawing? That's still in process?
There's a whole lot of different options that we have, and we're not prepared to speak about that tonight. If we lose half that number of students, we're okay, based on Dale's amount. If our enrollment stays stable, we're in good shape. So one is we got to work on the enrollment. And the other thing is, if we do lose those students, we obviously won't need the staff to teach them. And then there's that piece also.
I think one of the other things that we've discussed, and we don't know exactly how we're going to navigate that yet, is how do we address the delinquent tax piece? There's a limitation to what we can do, but doing nothing probably, which has kind of been the way we've done it, is going to probably have to change. I mean, I don't know if many of you notice, even with your city taxes, they would give you a certain amount of time to pay them. They put people on payment plans. All of a sudden, you had a collection agency calling your house. Now, there's a downside to collection agency when you're trying to pass levies, things, but also we've got to look at how do we, if the delinquency, because there's a trajectory on that also, and that number is going to probably increase. At some stage, when you pass the levy, but you can't collect, it's a moot point. And so even the levy that we passed, which was a very modest levy, we're still going to be way under on the collections from that because they voted for the levy, but if they're not paying the taxes, there's no collection. So that's and I don't know, I know the $5 million is probably accumulated over time. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if we can start to figure out what should we expect on that next decrease based on the trend it's going now. Because again, that's another.
One of the things that I think, and I'm hoping will happen is, people don't really believe until they see. And that is when they see the new high school structurally going up, they're going to believe that, yeah, it's really going to happen. Because you need to see it there. I mean, like they said, our loss of students may be by about where our high school actually is right now. But when they see that it's going to come back and be a little bit more central, that and if they don't have that time to wait, that may, I'm hoping it helps us a little bit. I know most schools and most new schools get a little bit of a bump up when they first open, and the way this is going to look and everything. I mean, it should impress just about anybody.
And this is all worst case scenario, absolutely worst case.
That's a lot.
Like the weather forecast, huh?
Could we have the good news next week?
I will do my best, sir.
The good news is going to rain.
The other thing you need to remember is the state says you have to have these forecasts at specific times. And a lot of times you don't have all the information you need for him to do that. So he has to go with what he has at that time. And the way the funding has gone for the last few years has been, it changes dramatically, as you can see.
I remember the last 7 years as we was working on the levy committee. And I was so happy to see the one pass. Was it 2012 that we got? 2011 or 2012?
2012.
I mean, I was elated at the fact that we finally passed something, because it was due and certainly important. And I always said all through that whole thing that every school district in the state of Ohio is 3 years away from insolvency. And I believe it's true today, it'll be true next week, it'll be true next year. But I guess you just have to work on it and rein it in as best you can.
Most districts in this county are facing this, in the state are facing this.
We're not alone.
Yeah. And I think and it does is it drives us, we're fairly conservative in terms of spending. The truth is, when we get a forecast like this, it's going to make us more conservative. And sometimes conservative isn't fair. Sometimes conservative is, you have to anticipate and expect that there's going to be more issues, and it's going to impact everything that we do. I mean, it's hard to grow and build when you're fighting a trend like that. So I think people should continue to expect us to be conservative, and that's kind of where we are. So No other? Yes.
I have a question I'd like to direct to the treasurer. Based upon this forecast, we're, in the black through fiscal year 14, June 30th. And then we're almost $3 million in the hole, June 30th, 2015. So I guess my question, and then it jumps up to 8, 2 years from now. So my question is, can you let the board know when we'll get another update on this over the next 12 months? What's the timeline? So, come summer or fall, we'll have a little better feel for what our numbers will be as of June 30th, 15, and then updated 16 numbers.
This process gets updated legally twice a year, in May and October.
Okay.
And what happens is Tom and I will sit down with the staff, and we'll figure out some stuff over the summer.
Yes.
And also, one of the things we go through every year, which we've incorporated the last 5, which is really good for us, we take every single person to know where they're funded from, federal grants and general fund, or wherever it's going to be. And that process is very time consuming, happens in the summer, and then usually done in late August, early September, and that drives the forecast going forward. Plus, number of kids coming in too drives some things too. So legally, the board will know in mid-October the next forecast cycle. And it'll say FY19 out there on the right-hand side instead of 18. We'll push it out one more year because 14 will be closed by then. Okay.
And this is just general fund revenue.
Right, just general fund, that's correct.
I guess we want people out there to know that we're still increasing services to students.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's one thing that you learn. Be careful what you cut, because you may cut the wrong thing. The other piece, remember, I discussed clustering and did a presentation, and that was almost a $2 million savings, 1.8 to $2 million. And we have to do some more work on that. I'm not pulling the trigger this year, but that is an area that definitely will get a lot of look coming up. The other big thing you need to remember is 2015 is the year that they change STRS rules. And there will be a lot of people retiring at that time because they have to. That's also in the back of our mind also. And we can almost predict with a good percentage of who that will be. There's also some things that we're working on right now that we'll be bringing forth at the next board meeting to also address that.
Thank you.
Tom, those STRS attritions are not a part of this budget.
No, they are not.
So we can anticipate some sort of savings in the salary area as a result of that.
That would be the largest savings, yes.
Right.
Yes.
All right, thanks for that additional color.
Mr. Weber, do you still have?
Nothing else to present, sir. So I have item 1, which is the April 2014 financial reports. Item 2 is a purchase orders over $3,000 requiring board approval. Item 3 is the forecast I just presented, and item 4 is donations. So I ask for approval of items 1 through 4.
Motion to approve financial matters, items 1 through 4.
Support.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Weber. At this time, we would have from Mr. Tucker, report and recommendations of the superintendent.
First report I'd like to say is under the sheet metal workers, Local 33, they've come to an impasse in their bargaining. It's gone very, very well and worked through it very well. The problem at this juncture is the unions offered to settle for across the board 3% increase. Based upon what you just saw, the treasurer and I must sign a 412 saying that there's money for that. And because of that, we can't sign the 412. I will not be recommending to the board that contract and be asking the team at your direction to continue bargaining. I assume that's the board's pleasure on that, because we can't approve that.
Is there any discussion, gentlemen, before we even go? I'm sorry.
Well, I think the numbers are.
I'm sorry, before we do that,
This is just a report on my.
okay,
that's
so
all.
no recommendation, just a report.
I'm not recommending that, and that's why, because we can't sign it because of the 412.
So, yeah, I'm sure there's some questions around this. Comments, please. Go ahead, Mr. Fallis.
No, I mean, I think the budget clearly speaks for itself that their funds aren't available there to even negotiate. So, unfortunately, that's the case where we stand right now.
I think to reflect back on, I think we had in our last meeting, we had an executive session discussing these dynamics, and the board expressed to the administration its perspective, its concern, and what we wanted them to take back to the negotiations, and that was done. I think it's important to acknowledge that these have been very, in terms of good faith negotiations, these have represented the true spirit of good faith negotiations. We are very satisfied, even with the improvements we've seen throughout the district in terms of buildings and maintenance, and we know that folks are working really hard. So I think we want to make sure that we acknowledge, based on our legal counsel and the superintendent, that the report of negotiations has been very favorable. And this no way reflects dissatisfaction by the board or the administration and the work product of this group. And we appreciate the good faith. We appreciate the relationship that's established. And so please take that back to your membership and the folks that this is a fiscal decision. This doesn't reflect how we value you or how we appreciate the work that you all are doing. And I wanted to make sure we're on the record with that. Thank you.
On a previous agenda, our high school principal, Diane Conneberry, has accepted a promotion in another district. She also will be taking FMLA very early in June for some family things, and her last day will be in June, and we should honor her at the next board meeting. But at this time, I've asked Dr. Stephen Sturgill, who was my colleague and a very good mentor when I was principal at Admiral King, to step up, and until we hire our new principal, to take on the duties of the principal and the assistant superintendent on special assignment. He said, absolutely, give me the school, I'm ready to go. He knows it as good and better than anybody else, so he'll be the interim principal, acting principal there the day that Diane leaves, and then when we hire the new one, he will mentor and transition that person in. That person, we're starting the interviews. The interviews are going on now, but we have scheduling and a whole lot of other items that will be happening because a number of those assistant principals are done. So Dr. Sturgill will be doing that. Just don't like it too much, Steve. Okay, personnel matters. A, items 1. We have a number of retirements listed on A. B, resignation and retirements. Item 2, a number of leave of absences. Item 3, miscellaneous actions. This is the last of the sports play-by-play for the year. So I ask for personnel matters A, items 1 through 3 for approval.
Motion to approve items 1, 2, and 3.
Support motion. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Operation matters B, item 4, contract with the Cleveland Clinic Sports Health for sports medicine, which we are required to do for athletic training by law. Item 5, approval of a contract with TechCore. This is the Techie Camp program that we're going to do this summer. There's no cost to the district here. They're using our site, so there's a real nice article in the paper on that just over the weekend. Item 6, approval of a contract with LCC. This is part of our dual enrollment in My University Titan College campus. This is the new program that's replacing PSEO and all the other things that the state has put forth. This is the new thing that they're calling dual enrollment at My University. Item 7 is approval of the contract with the NLS Advisement Group to provide the Teaching Opportunity Unit by Connecting Hearts. This is an alternative ed grant, and this is for our New Beginnings Academy. Item 8, approval, this is the annual approval of the Lorain County Board of Mental Retardation and Developmental Disabilities for our eligible preschool students. This is part of our Head Start Collaborative Grant. Item 9, approval of contract with Healthcare HPC. They're the ones that for a number of what the services that we do, we can get reimbursed through Medicaid. It's up towards 6 figures now that we're getting reimbursed, which is excellent. Item 10, approval of a renewal of a contract for occupational physical therapy. This is IDEAB flow-through funds. These are required for many of our students. Item 11, approval of Delta Productions to provide the sound system for the tech fixes for Lorain High School graduation, which is right around the corner. So I ask for approval of Operation Matters B, items 4 through 11.
Motion to approve operation matters under item B, items 4 through 11.
Support.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Facility matters, item 12. This is a resolution for the LFI. You've already approved that, but because of the way the bids came in, there's some minor adjustments on this. Item 13 is approval of our membership in Ohio High School Athletic Association, which is our annual renewal. And item 14, approval of a resolution to return local control to our public schools. This is the item that all the school boards in the county are passing based upon your recommendations. And item 15 is another one that all the boards in the county are passing. This is the resolution to oppose removing the language from the Constitution about thorough and efficient to protect the funding. So I ask approval of other matters D 12 through 15.
Motion to approve other matters D, items 12 through 15.
Support. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
On the item 14, the superintendents of the entire county, all 16 of us, will be doing a presentation at the Chamber of Commerce at the Spitzer Center on Thursday at noon. So, the end of my report.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker. At this time, gentlemen, is there any new business for discussion?
No new business.
Committee reports and requests from board members? And finally, the second hearing of the public. And I can just see that all those folks are waiting to take the microphone. Are there any who would like to address the board at this time? Thank you. And we do not need an executive session. So our next board meeting is scheduled for June the 2nd.
Just to keep it back in our mind too, I'll need a board meeting at the end of June to close out the year. And tentative looking at June 27th, late in the afternoon for about 15 minutes.
Okay.
We don't have to do it. It does, but we'll think about that as the weeks go on.
All right. Okay. So we will address that in the near future. But our next board meeting is Monday, June the 2nd, 6:30, right here, the day before commencement. So hope to see all of you smiling faces back again. And at this time, may we have a motion for adjournment?
Motion for adjournment.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Fellis?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good evening.
This has been a production of Lorain City Schools, TV 20 WLCS.
To purchase a high-quality copy of the program you just viewed, please call Lorain City Schools Television at 282-8400.